Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished guests. Thank you so much for joining us again tonight on day 3 of the 2021 Oakville Film Festival, our 8th annual festival, this year once again virtual. My name is Tyler Collins. I am the arts reporter for Oakville News and oakvillenews.org. You can read us every day online for free at oakvillenews.org. Tonight, we are here for one of the centerpiece presentations of the festival. I'm joined here tonight by Executive Director Wendy Donnan.
Hi, everyone.
And you have just had the pleasure of seeing the feature film 9 Days. This terrific motion picture was specially given to Oakville in advance of its wide theatrical release coming to North America on August 6th. And tonight, we are so grateful to be joined by the writer and director of this magnificent film, Edson Oda, is zooming in tonight from Palm Springs.
Hello. Thank you so much for watching it. Very excited to be here. Thank you so much for the kind words, Tyler.
Edson, we are excited to have you. It was a great amount of fun to watch this movie, and fun in both poignant, sad, and equally exciting ways. Before we get to some of the questions that I've got and the ideas we're going to talk about, if you are watching this right now, we are live. This is a live Q&A happening on Friday evening, and we would love to hear questions from you as well. All you need to do is type in questions you would like me to ask Edson on the right-hand side of your screen. Type them in here, and they will be sent digitally to us, and I'll be able to ask questions on your behalf to Edson about the terrific film we've just watched. Also, don't forget this film is eligible for the Audience Choice Awards. If you liked the movie, there is a rating system at the bottom of the screen. Make sure you've clicked on the title 9 Days, and you can rate it 1 to 5 to have it vote for the Audience Awards of the festival. Before we get in to some of our great audience questions that are coming in, let's talk one-on-one, just Edson. One warning to our audience, sorry, before we get started, we have had some bandwidth problems and we believe them to be fixed, but if it does cut out momentarily, your device is working fine. We're just using this from the connection to the States tonight. So Edson, first of all, this was your debut feature film, both as screenwriter and director. Can you tell us what the experience has been like making your first project and seeing it realized and finished on the big screen?
Yeah, no, it was crazy, you know, like, because I was just like used to make like small, you know, projects or like short films and some music videos and you know, like commercials, but this is such an ambitious project with like well-known actors and with a budget that was like beyond like what I used to have. So for me, it was very, very challenging, but at the same time, you know, I think everyone was so passionate about the movie and we're kind of there like for the same reasons. They really care about the story they want to tell, and somehow I think in the end of the process was super. I think, as I said, it was very ambitious. So at the end, it was like very challenging movie to make. But when you screen and you saw, you know, the result, everyone was, you know, we could feel like, okay, there's something here, and felt special for most of the people there.
So how did you come up with the concept? What was the beginning of the idea behind 9 Days, and how did you take the idea to the written page?
Yeah, I think for the word creation, it was so much about this phase of my life that I was living when I was so much goal-oriented towards something that I didn't have. And I was in the U.S. I just moved from, you know, Brazil to the U.S. and going through struggles, trying to, you know, make it. And at that time, I was just like, you know, thinking like, you know, I'm struggling here right now, but what if this I'm living now? It's kind of the goal, you know, like, and I achieve this or achieve that, instead of possibly saying like, oh, actually we are kind of lucky for just like being here somehow. So I think that from that idea came the concept like, okay, we already like winners somehow. So this souls, they're competing in order to be us. So I think that was kind of the genesis of the word creation, which 9 Days is based on.
So how did that genesis evolve as you were both writing the film, planning to shoot, and then actively shooting the movie? How has your personal perceptions of this genesis changed?
It changed a lot. I think even on the script, for example, the script, we had I had some labs, and the script there, the script was I think was lacking some of personal connection from my end, and I think it was interesting that after I went through the labs, it was a lot about how can you make it more personal, how can you make it more about you, and how can you be more vulnerable with the screenplay, and something interesting is that like draft after draft, I always like trying to put more of something that I was uncomfortable in showing, but I think as I start showing people, we start relating more with that. And then go ahead.
I'm really glad you brought up the vulnerability of it, because that to me, especially from your actors, was the thing that really stood out on the screen for me.
Yeah.
It's hard to get people invested and excited about watching very small actions, writing an answer on a piece of paper, opening a fridge or a door, filing something in a cabinet, or even just looking and reading something. So showing that openness the actors had, I think, was a really big part of what got me excited as an audience member.
Interesting. Yeah, no, it's great. It's interesting because pretty much the movie is about that, right? Small things that we kind of take for granted, right? And I think even nowadays we start giving more of a value to those things, like as you said, like open a fridge, or or even now it's more like going to the beach or eating a restaurant with some friends. So there are things like it's kind of all the small things that make like life as like a whole, but the whole itself is making of like small parts, and that in combination becomes something bigger. Yeah, so it's very interesting that it's you lost the end, right, of the
Sorry, no, we just lost a connection momentarily on your final sentence. No trouble.
connection.
That's all right. We actually had you frozen momentarily in a contemplative thinking pose, so it timed perfectly.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. That's good.
You mentioned changing this movie in COVID, how people are seeing it differently because we're now appreciating these small moments. Because you filmed this in summer 2019 before COVID even existed.
Yeah.
Right? The plan was always to do it last year. So I'm curious, how are you seeing people react to the movie differently in the post-COVID world? Now that we have this new appreciation for small moments, has that changed how people are receiving your movie?
I think interesting that even people who watch again, they watch in Sundance, and then they watch later. Even people who watch later in the Ocean Sundance and they watch later, they felt differently after they watch after the COVID era. And it's interesting. It's interesting because we didn't when we released the Sundance, we had like a bunch of screenings and all that stuff, so it was easier to understand what people are feeling about it. And now the only way I can, know how people feel is just letterboxed, or it's harder now to just, see how people are feeling the movie because you don't have screenings anymore. But like I recently I got like some, really amazing like notes and emails from people just saying like how much they related to it. Being kind of gave them a different perspective to it. And it's interesting, even now when you watch it, okay, I think you guys lost me. But even now, when I watch it, I kind of see in a different way somehow. So I think like the audience too have like a different perspective on it.
How have you changed watching it? What is
Uh,
different for you seeing it now, a year and a half after you finished it?
it's interesting. There's even some parts, like for example, there's this day I watch the beach scene or something like that, and I cried because it was something. It was so easy to go and the beach and friends and all the stuff, and right now it was something that somehow felt like distant, So, or even some scenes or some moments, you know, or while I was watching, and I think also remembering of what was going on while I was, because making a film is pretty much like you have so many people around you, and it's such a social experience that while I was watching it, I could just remember those moments as well, and miss them, and also celebrating my mind. I feel like it was a lot of fun while we made it.
We have got our first question coming in from the audience now. This comes from Jennifer Smith. How did you manage to assemble such an amazing cast for your first feature? So what was the
it was pretty much the script.
Yeah,
It was pretty much and Tyler, feel free to, anytime that you miss any kind of any of my information, just let me know. I can repeat, but
sure. Oh, and at the end of the explanation, you just cut out. Sorry, could you start again?
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, it was pretty much through the script. I wrote the script, and it was very personal. And some people just, agents start just like sending to, one another, and people start just like connecting with it. And from that, we start just, I started just having meetings with people who are interested in somehow being involved with the film. Of course, we had like lists of people that we like to, be in the movie. But at the time, it was interesting that my producers and agents, they were just like sending out, and I started having like just meeting with a lot of great people, and from that, the meetings and from our list, we just start just building this kind of possibilities of who could play who in this movie.
Now, you've got some real A-listers in the cast of this, and every single member of your ensemble, whether they're well known to the public or not, every single one of the 14 or so principal actors are outstanding. I'm curious to know, because you had some really big names. You had Winston Duke, Zazie Beetz, Tony Hale, Bill Skarsgård, Benedict Wong. Was there any time when you were in these casting meetings where you yourself got starstruck meeting somebody?
Starstruck, yeah, of course. I'm kind of a shy person, and it was super nervous for all of those meetings, and seeing they're there, in these movies, and I'm here, just writing, and it just came out of film school, but it was interesting just after like.
Sorry, you've cut just after like
same thing. Oh yeah, so but it was intimidating, but every time I met them, after like few minutes, just like with intimidation, I just felt like we're kind of, the story is so much about vulnerability and things that you go through, and struggles, and I think we kind of while we were talking, we kind of understood like we were very similar in some sort of ways. We all wanted to tell this story because we felt like this story was important to be told. And then after that, when you have this connection and we kind of see each other like, oh, this as a person, I think the star, all this kind of facade that I think the industry kind of creates, it just went away. So that's when I think that's what was great about like having these talks with like a really great actors, but also like amazing human beings.
Very beautifully said.
Oh, thank
I
you.
admire your optimism, saying that the facade really can fade away in light of good work. And I think that's an aspiration too. So I think it's commendable for you to say that it wasn't something that just happened, but something you continuously worked on.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. And it was, yeah, and it was just like a, and also wasn't just about the work, but a lot about the heart of those people who want, it was craft, but also about their will of telling this type of story. Like something that was just it was coming from the gut. So I think it was really nice to see them doing that for the story.
So, in a story made up of moments, I'm wondering, is there one particular moment that is your favorite in the whole movie? Or one scene that you particularly really love?
Of course, the monologue in the end. I think it's such a scene that kind of represents a movie. There's a scene I really love is when Bill Winston's character is talking about the moment when he was in theater, and he had this monologue, and he was describing the monologue to Zazie, and he says like, you have a lot of potential, but you need to be tougher to survive the war. And somehow Zazie sees some cracks on his armor and say like, yeah, but how do I know you really telling me the truth, or that now that I know you're a great actor. I thought that moment from you, every time I watch it, somehow it gets to me, like, because of their performance and everything. So
All right. While we are waiting for some more questions, I would really like to try an exercise. Wendy, I'm going to ask you to then choose your favorite moment, because we were talking before this and you had several standout moments you got very giddy and excited about. Wendy, I'm going to ask you in a moment to choose your favorite scene of the film. And then I'm wondering if Edson, you can talk about the process of how you made that scene and what it took to bring it to life.
I think for me,
that sounds fun. Yeah, that's good.
I have several favorite scenes, but there was a scene that just really resonates for me, and that's the scene. It's leading up into when Benedict Wong comes in, and it's the suicide scene when Will is watching the TVs, and they're thinking about this, and in my mind, I'm thinking about this wonderful future that this woman has and how they're all excited about it. And then when she purposely drives the car into the wall, and it's just the looks on their faces and trying to fathom, why did she do this? Like, they can't figure it out. He can't figure out how he allowed her to live, in a sense, because why would she do that? Why would she throw it all away? And it's that process that she went through. So that moment resonates for me. So tell me about that, Winston. Tell me about that, Edson.
Yeah, I think actually that was the most difficult moment for me, the scene, because for me it was the most delicate, because I feel it's such a subject that it's so it can be so devastating, and make, I think people who go through something like that, it's something that it means something in a way that's really big, and I didn't want to make just as a device in the movie that I was using that. I'm using that in order to tell my story. So for me, it was in doing the editing and trying to find the scene, how she was doing. Is it coming out of? It was super difficult to come to a point, and a lot of test screens in order to just like this scene feels real and feels that could happen that way, and not just as this device. The last thing I want is just use it in my benefit, in benefit of my story or something. So, but I wanted just to share something that felt real and could feel authentic, in that kind of situation. And at the same time, it was very tricky because I want to also create the doubt. What happened there? Was that a suicide, or maybe it wasn't? Because that kind of question would carry, you know, a struggle to accept or to understand
Yeah.
what happened, and it was really tricky at that point. So it was, yeah, it was a very, very hard scene to define.
It resonates through the whole movie, though. You keep coming back to it. That's
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
love about it.
And it's interesting because it's, go ahead. Because I think most of people. Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Let me just complete that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because most of people, what I wanted to create as well is just like, I think most of people, they see mental illness as something that's very evident. You know, I think there's a lot of, when we show in movies, or there's kind of this stereotype of this looks like this, or depression is this, or it's actually, there's so many cases of invisible mental illness, invisible for us, for people who are not suffering from it, but we of course we have a friend who suffers from it, or we have like a people we love who suffer from it. So I wanted to create this kind of a thing that is invisible, but also it makes sense as we understand it, like, oh, that person was actually suffering, rather than something that, oh, this coming out of blue. So it was very delicate, this to tune in a way that it would show in the movie. So
It's interesting, Wendy, you brought up the televisions, because that's a perfect segue to our next question from the audience. We have an unnamed audience member asking about your curiosity of using older technologies, such as older televisions, VCR machines, tapes, and cassettes, rather than a modern set. Why did you choose to use this older technology as the props and emphatic elements in the movie?
Yeah, one they look super cool, and but two, I think the main, I think they look super cool, but the main reason is, since I was born in the 80s, everything that goes, if I want to something that's more, for me, something that's more nostalgic, or something that goes more towards the memory, or something that's more everything that nostalgic. So I would associate with things that comes from this very VCRs or VHS and all this kind of stuff. So every time I see those objects or this decoration, it just put me in like place in history for me that just brings up those kind of emotions. And then second, I think when I was creating Will's world, it was pretty much trying to find a motif, or why this place looks like that. And for me, it was pretty much when Will died, he died like around like in the 80s. So it's almost like he got in prison in that period of time. So what you see is more or less like his house, or that represents the time that he, after he died, he got imprisoned at that time.
I didn't even think about the connection from Will's death to the time that he's now living in the limbo. That's brilliant. That's nice. We have a question next about your writing process. How long did it take you to write the screenplay?
Yeah, it was fast actually. When I had the idea, and then I said I gave myself like 4 months to do the structure and everything, and then start writing pages. So I think like in like 4 months I wrote the first draft, and then but after that I and then I started rewriting. So it took me like 1.5 years or something to rewrite it. And after I got the Sundance Labs, I think, yeah, it was 1.5 years until I started just sharing with the producers and everything. So, but it was kind of quick.
What is some advice you would give to an aspiring screenwriter? How do they stay focused and stay excited about what they're doing 2 years into writing as they're still working on it? What would you say?
Yeah, it's not a I think it's one few more sometimes.
Sorry,
writing is hard.
Out. Could you start the answer over, please?
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's sometimes I don't even when I'm writing, I don't feel motivated. Writing is something that's hard, and but I think one is if you write something that's personal and some story that only you can tell, and that you know that if you don't write it, the story won't exist. I think that's a great motivation, because it's almost like, okay, if I die now, this story will die with me, because no one else will tell this story, And there are a lot of movies when you watch, you feel like, okay, if that person didn't write it, I think other person could write it. But I think for me, it was like, okay, I need to finish it, because if I don't, this movie won't exist, right? Nothing similar to it will exist. So I think my advice is just choose something that is really personal to you and that really represents you as a person. And then that if you don't finish, something that will keep you going. That keeps me going. So.
Well, as a credit to your work, one of the accolades, of course, that the film has received, you were the winner of the Waldo Saltz Screenwriting Award when the movie first premiered at Sundance last January. What did it feel like to win a writing prize at Sundance for your first ever movie?
Mm-hmm.
Might be good, Edson, to turn the camera off, perhaps.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, we are currently experiencing some technical difficulties. Please stand by with us for just a moment. We are going to be attending to this momentarily and trying to get Edson back. If we cannot get him back, we will end this evening's broadcast. And I think we got a fabulous interview, even if
here he comes.
Cap it off correctly. Excellent.
He's back.
He's back.
Yay. Thank God.
Thank you for standing by, everyone. Hi, Edson. Good to see you again.
Edson, you might want to turn your camera off for the last part of the
Yeah,
Q&A.
we only have one or two more questions. Yeah. I think it'll be easier for the connection just to have your audio with us.
All right.
You want to try turning your camera off?
Edson, can you hear us?
Trying again.
All right, we'll say one more attempt, and if not, then we may just call it a night. While we are waiting for Edson, I'm just going to talk quickly about tomorrow. Tomorrow here at Saturday at the Oakville Film Festival, we have a whopping 5 projects and tickets that are going to be on sale, are still on sale. You can still buy tickets for them, but we have an event at 10 a.m. Quebec Sit. At 1 p.m. we have Woman in Car. 4 p.m. we have Alice. 7 p.m. we have French Exit. And then at 10 p.m. Meandre or Meander, our first ever late night show. We have 5 features. There are short films paired with each. Single tickets and passes are still available. Also, for our audience that is currently here enjoying 9 days, please remember this very special screening is only available for a 24-hour period. What that means is if you'd like to watch the movie again, any of the shorts again, or this interview again, maybe not the last few minutes, but the rest of the interview again. This will be available on Eventive until 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, Saturday, June 26th. 26th, that's the day. Yes. So until 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Most of the other films are available for a whole week. 9 days is only available, unlike the title, for 1 day. So please make sure, if you also are seeing this and haven't finished the movie yet, this is going to be up for a very limited amount of time. Lastly, please don't forget to vote in the Audience Choice Awards if you liked the movie tonight. Down at the bottom of your screen, you can rate it on a number of 1 to 5 stars, and we collect those votes to give out the Audience Choice Award at the end of OFFA 2021. Oh, perfect. Oh, not perfect. Wendy, you are muted.
Can you hear us, Edson?
Oh, sorry about that, guys.
No trouble.
Keep the camera off. We love
Okay.
looking at you, but it'll just,
Yes.
that way we can get in
But
the glass.
yeah.
Edson, we were just programming and advertising tomorrow's movies, so your timing was perfect.
Okay, that's good.
Andy,
Thank you.
I've only got 2 more questions, and then we'll end it off for the night. Just as we cut out, I was asking, you were the winner of the Waldo Salt Screenplay Award at Sundance last year, and we were talking about you and your writing process and the time and what it takes to stay committed. So with all that work, what did it feel like to win a screenplay award at the Sundance Film Festival for your first ever movie?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
So that was like just unbelievable. You know, it was something that I wasn't expecting at all, and it's just like it's such a was an amazing experience. It's an honor as well, and said that is just at the same time award. I have like an interesting view on awards. Awards are really cool and great, and like they're just but I think the biggest pleasure actually is just like seeing the reaction of people watching the movies and how they connect with the movie, like for me is like best award. But of course, like it was amazing to receive that what's award. And but it's interesting. I have a weird connection with awards. I feel like when people watch it and come to you to talk to, I think there's nothing better in the award. As a filmmaker, there's nothing that it's better than that feeling.
Well, I feel that same pleasure as a journalist and as an interviewer. There is nothing more exciting about my job than the days I get to come and speak directly to filmmakers, artists, actors, creators. It is the single most gratifying and exciting thing I get to do. So believe me when I say it is equally thrilling for me, if not more, than it is for you to be able to share these stories with us tonight. Part of the reason we're so grateful that you're here with us.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
My last question of the night talks about the diversity of your film. You yourself are part Brazilian, part Japanese, making a movie in the United States about the entire population of the world. Even amongst your principal cast, there's only 2 Caucasian men out of the principal 14 actors. That's pretty remarkable. What does it mean to you as an artist and your own life to bring this kind of diversity on screen? And why is it important that we continue doing this?
I think it means everything, especially I always want to see, my work on the big screen, things that I grew up seeing, or people, it was part of my world. And I'm from a very small city in Brazil, and I never seen my small city in Brazil in the big screen, and even when I was showing things like the TVs or things, there's like the bicycle ride, and also I tried to just incorporate things that I was seeing when I was growing up, and that I think the more I keep making movies, I would like to just like show more from my grew up, and uh, uh, and I think you know, you tell stories of what you know. So no one knows more about Brazil, Japanese, mixed with American culture than me. So I think that's what I can bring to the table.
Well, I speak on behalf of Wendy, the entire team at OFFA, and our entire esteemed audience watching us tonight. Edson Oda, we are so grateful to have had you here tonight to not just share your movie with us, but make the time to share your experiences and stories with us too. And we get to see you again. That's lovely.
I get to see you again. Yeah.
The last moments to have you back.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your patience. You all, it's just like, yeah, the connection just like didn't work as it should. But I think
to our audiences in Oakville, Halton, and across Canada, please join me in thanking Edson Oda for being with us here tonight. It was such a treat and a delight. Edson, thank you for making the time with us. Also, a big thank you to Wendy Donnan, our executive director, and Tori Nixon, who is in the tech booth, working things behind the scenes, always working hard to make these Q&As happen. Don't forget, we have 5 events tomorrow on Saturday, and we have another 4 for Sunday's Multiculturalism Day. We still have 12 other tickets over the last 4 days of the festival. Tickets and passes are still on sale for all future events at www.offa.ca. For the Oakville Film Festival, my name has been Tyler Collins, and it has been my pleasure to be your host for this evening's event. Please stay safe. The world is changing fast, and we look forward to seeing you in theaters again soon. But until then, please stay safe, get vaccinated, and join us for more great movies with the festival. Have a good night.
Thank you, Edson.